Okay. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm George from Ireland. I'm beside the River Thames, well, just north of the Thames at Twickenham in London. Although Twickenham historically was, of course, part of the county of Middlesex, a county that was abolished in 1889 when Greater London was created. They took really the whole of Middlesex and made it part of Greater London. The City of London became part of Greater London, as did the City of Westminster. They took a bit of the counties, Surrey and Kent, made it all part of Greater London. Anyway, so there it is, old Father Thames, right? Its silvery flood runs through my life. So I spent, the greater portion of my teens, my adult life, in the Thames Valley. And there's Ham House beyond in the distance, south of the Thames. And I did a video about that earlier on. Perhaps the most perfect example of Jacobean architecture in existence, an early 17th century house. Having spent time abroad in places like Russia, I realised how lucky Great Britain is in its architectural heritage. Not having, since say the 1640s, a revolution or a war internally, its architectural patrimony is intact, because yes, the United Kingdom fought many wars, but they were overseas. Even the Blitz in the Second World War, not that many historic houses were destroyed by bombs. They're on the edge of cities or in the countryside, whereas other places like Russia, I've been to, almost everything west of Moscow was destroyed through the First World War, the Revolution, the Civil War, the Second World War, and so forth. So anyway, you see a lot of these canal boats, people living on them. They're sitting on the riverbed. You see how on that silt there, because the river level goes up and down dramatically every 12 hours because the river is tidal. The North Sea is yonder, and obviously salt water comes in, and that's how the river level rises so much. It's tidal as far as Teddington, which is about another 3 miles down there. So it doesn't rise and fall as much here as it does in some other areas. But if we go a bit closer, you'll see how high the water level goes sometimes in relation to what it is. Now, even though you can't see the bottom of the Thames mostly, its opacity is misleading, because often it's just incredibly shallow. So if you try wading in it, you see how where the water level goes up to, right up to there, those steps. If you try wading in it, you'll find yourself, only wet up to my ankles, find you wet up to your waist, because you're sinking in centuries of rotten leaves which have fallen in there. So that's that. And but even if you're a few meters from the edge and you fall in rowing, as I did occasionally, you often find yourself standing. But obviously not so many trees around, there won't be so many years of rotten leaves, so it'll be a bit more solid now, because over there are not that many leaves in this stretch. If they're trees overlooking it immediately, obviously there'll be more years of rotten leaves. So what else can I tell you about the Thames? Okay, so looking this away, on the hill you can see, that's a Richmond Hill, you can see the Star and Garter home atop it. That was opened in 1924. It was a home for what they were then called invalided ex-soldiers. So people who fought in the First World War, these men had limbs amputated, they were deaf and so on. They sometimes had mental scars, physical scars, paralysed, various reasons incapable of providing for themselves. So that's because of the Order of the Garter. But anyway, quite some time ago, I think in the 1980s, it no longer served that purpose, and it's now luxury flats. The nurses' home for it is just beside it, as in accommodation for the nurses who tended them, and that's closed as well, but it's yet to be turned to another purpose. It could easily be renovated and sold off for a very tidy sum. So this is it, this absolutely glorious autumnal walk beside the River Thames in Twickenham, so certainly pay a visit.